Thanks for joining us this Sunday on What Matters This Week. I'm Lauren Maloney. Chad Butt is here with us today. He is the Executive Director of MENTOR Vermont, and he has just been elected as the 2019-2020 Chair of the Mentoring Affiliate Advisory Council for the larger mentor program throughout the country. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Up first, for our viewers who might not know, what is MENTOR Vermont?
So Mentor Vermont is a statewide mentoring partnership. We support adult to youth mentoring programs throughout the state, trying to provide them the resources they need to best meet the youth that they serve in their communities.
Okay. And you were vice chair last year for this kind of national committee.
Yeah.
You're chair. What do you want to establish on that level when it comes to encouraging mentorships?
Yeah, so as the chair of the Mentor Affiliate Advisory Council, I bring the voice of the mentor affiliates throughout the country to Mentor National, who's our national partner. We're an independent nonprofit in Vermont. And so really what I hope to do is to be able to amplify the needs of local affiliates throughout the country to bring the resources back to their home states, to be able to tap into resources that Mentor National has out there, like their marketing, their partnership with the NBA, Starbucks, other businesses out there, to be able to raise awareness of the need for more mentors throughout the country, but also here in Vermont. And to bring back other resources as well in terms of research around the importance and the benefits of mentoring, and really how to support the individual local programs here in the state so that they can best meet the needs of the youth.
You mentioned Starbucks. How do national partners play a role in this?
Really, it's raising awareness. I mean, there's partnerships that Mentor National has with LinkedIn, and so that LinkedIn's posting about the need for more mentors. They have on our website, you can actually go on and find mentoring programs locally, but you also could do that on the national level. You can type in a zip code and find mentoring opportunities around your area. So businesses out there providing some funding, but really it's raising awareness through their marketing campaigns as well. If you are watching an NBA game, you might see an NBA star out there talking about the need for mentoring and how mentoring has impacted their lives. And then our logo, which is also the national logo, would pop up on the screen and really encourage people to just check out opportunities in their local community to get involved.
Okay, and this program is in 24 states.
Yes, so Mentor National is out of Boston, but they represent the country as a whole.
Okay.
And then there are 24 other affiliates like Mentor Vermont throughout the country that are working on their local networks with the vision ideally down the road of Mentor having affiliates in all 50 states.
Is there a best practices that you want to make sure every state kind of succeeds at, or every state should follow?
Yeah, so that's one of the great resources that we're able to gather from Mentor National. So it's something called the Quality Mentoring System, and so it's based on national research about the best practices of mentoring. So we're able to take the research nationally and bring it back to the local level, and then actually work with the mentoring programs that we support to say, how are you screening mentors? How are you training mentors? How can you best support them to make sure that they're meeting best practice, so that the results that are out there that youth benefit from having a mentor can be seen on the local level, and we can ensure that happens by programs meeting those nationally recognized best practices.
You mentioned screening. What is done if somebody comes to you and says, I want to volunteer? What are the protocol they have to go through?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different levels of screening in terms of national record checks and sex abuse checks and different criminal record checks, along with references, applications, and interviews. But it's a rigorous process to make sure everybody's safe, but also to make sure that during that process, the mentor coordinator that's running the program can get a gut feel of, is this person going to be the right fit for a kid? And if so, which child would make sense for this person to work with? Where is there going to be the best, most productive relationship so that this person can have an impact?
Okay. You mentioned that when you were in college at Dartmouth, you were a mentor, so this is something very important to you. How is that relationship early on? How does it succeed, and how has it helped you?
Yeah. I think that the first thing is really just the consistency around establishing that relationship, and that's one of the first things that mentor coordinators will talk to adults that want to volunteer as, is that just by showing up and being consistent in a child's life, you're making a difference, and then from there that relationship's going to grow. And so I've been working with a young man who's now 27 since he was 14.
Wow.
And he stayed in touch with me when I moved away from Vermont for a while. I came back, we continued to mentor together. And we actually now mentor a young person through King Street together as mentors. So he's gone from mentee to mentor. But really, the impact comes back to the consistency and just showing up and being present, because you're becoming another consistent adult in that child's life that's there for them to count on you.
How much time should an adult commit to mentoring a younger individual?
So it depends on each program, but at minimum, when we think about going back to best practice, you're talking about 4 hours a month, on average 1 hour a week. Some programs require more. And at least one school year, if it's the mentoring programs happening in the school during the school day and in a school district, or one calendar year if it's more of a community-based program, sort of like a Big Brothers, Big Sisters model.
Okay. Now, statewide, there are more than 140 programs and 2,300 mentor matches.
Yeah, so there's a lot of folks out there doing it. I think that the programs vary in size from our largest program serving about 500 youth down to programs that serve 7 kids. And so I think for mentors to realize that there's a lot of other people out there doing similar work, but also that there's a great need. That 2,300 number is great to hear, but also there's so many more youth out there that could benefit from having a mentor. I mean, thinking about mentors I've had in my life, and as adults out there, just you've all had someone work with you, be it a formal mentor or an informal mentor,
right.
That has made an impact to help get you where you are, and you have the opportunity to be that for another person in your community.
That said, is there a part of the state for one reason or another that might need more mentors?
There's waiting lists in all parts of the state. I think there's some parts of the state where we need to step up and establish new programs. There's not as many programs in Lamoille County in the Northeast Kingdom as there are, say, in Chittenden County. But even in Chittenden County, where there's a wealth of programs, there's still way more youth than mentors present.
Has the role of a mentor changed, do you think, over the last 5 or 10 years? Or how has it progressed maybe overall?
I would say the support that the coordinators are providing has changed maybe in terms of being more focused into the things that are impacting kids. And I think similar things do impact kids year to year and have stayed the same. But over the last 5 years with the opioid epidemic and other things that are coming in focus, the mentor coordinators have focused their support and training of mentors to focus down onto that so that they can help those mentors be able to reach the kids that they're serving in a more deliberate way. But at the core, I think it really still has remained that it's a friendship. You aren't going in to change a kid's life and make them be you. You're going in there just to be a presence in their life and have them be able to count on you and look up to you as a person that they can call when they need help.
What about mental health? Is that a component that's taught or trained a little differently than maybe it used to be?
Yeah, we recently actually so one of the things that we're able to provide as Mentor Vermont is every year we run a mentoring symposium. And so we provide a day-long professional development training for all the mentoring coordinators in the state. And so they come together in Waterbury every year. And this past year we had a focus on mental health, race, and also gender, and trainings throughout the day around those 3 topics to really provide some train-the-trainer opportunities for mentoring coordinators so that they can take those resources back and train their mentors themselves. And mental health definitely was a focus on that, to really just figure out how to prepare mentors, because I mean, going in, you're not going to be a clinician going in as a mentor, and not everything is going to be your responsibility as a mentor, and you need to know what you can tackle, what you feel comfortable with, and what you need to refer back to the agency to have them have professionals help you.
Now, we should mention that almost a year ago, you had a bit of a name change. You went from Mobius to Mentor Vermont. Have you seen growth? Is there a better awareness under this straightforward, easy to understand name?
It's made my job a lot easier when I come to places like this and say who I am and where I'm from. So it has helped. I think the connection to Mentor National and the branding has definitely helped us a lot. But also just simplicity of being able to say what we do and where we do it, it has made it a lot easier with our marketing.
Okay. Do you have, you mentioned the mentee that you worked with when you were in college, but, how many former mentees are now mentors themselves? Because this started in what, 2003? So
yes,
you must.
Yes, yeah.
You must have some.
Yeah, there's I don't know, I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's 8 out of 10 youth say that when they're mentored, they want to become mentee. When they're mentored, they want to become mentors themselves. So there's definitely a lot of folks out there that have started off as mentees and become mentors. We actually have a program down in Plainfield and Marshfield that had so many of the mentors saying that they wanted to do that. They started up a peer-based mentoring program as well. So they have youth that are being mentored, but since some of those the mentees, some of the youth are actually now mentors for their peers as well. So it's a cycle. I mean, you see it happen all the time.
Yeah. Is there a story either that you can recollect yourself or one that you've heard from other mentors that really hit home about the importance of this program and just why it really hits home to people, at a critical age?
Yeah. I actually had a young man who I worked with when I was in college. I wasn't his mentor, but he was in the same program. Recently reached out to me. He's a young man of color who grew up in the White River Junction area, and he now has started up a mentoring program himself called Living Proof Mentoring that focuses on supporting youth of color and pairing them up with adults of color throughout Vermont. So really reflecting back on his personal experience, realizing how mentoring supported him and how he can adapt the program that he was a part of to impact youth of color in Vermont. I think that being able to take a step back and realize that when he was 14, I was working with him, and now as an adult, he's working in addiction recovery, but doing this on the side because he sees the impact it can have on youth throughout the state.
It really comes full circle. Okay. Chad, appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back on What Matters This Week.